Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here on Share Talk for Friday the 30th of October. Starting off with Besant, where the shares have come back to the former breakout level, 0.2 pence. That was resistance at the beginning of October. Obviously, we then spiked up to 0.55, back to the old resistance as new support, and while we're above the 50-day moving average at 0.176, looking for a partial or even full retest of last month, or rather this month's peak. If you're cautious on the stock, maybe wait for an end of day or end of week close above the 20-day moving average. That's the purple line there at 0.24 pence. Looking at Duke Mount Capital next, and here we've got a situation where we've had this week a decent falling wedge break, and also a break of the 50-day moving average. We had that same sort of thing in August, and obviously the shares then went back for a test of the 0.6 support level, but this time looks as though we might have a bit more momentum behind the stock, especially after the narrow new lows at the beginning of the month, so that's a sort of bear trap effect, and target here up towards 1.5, 1.6 pence at the top of the one-year trend channel, hopefully by the end of next month, perhaps having to allow it up to sometime in December. This stage, really only back below 0.6 on a weekly close, really delaying or cancelling the upside scenario there, but we should ideally remain above 0.7 pence. On to ICII Minerals, lots of stocks coming back to support, obviously after the falls of this week, and nice support area for ECR at the floor of the rising trend channel from March, and also the 50-day moving average at 2 pence, while there's no end-of-day close back below that. Looking for the top of the channel at 3.5 pence, hopefully over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And as in the case of Besant, if you're cautious on the situation, you'd wait for an end-of-day close back above the 20-day moving average at 2.15 pence. Couldn't resist looking at ICII today, even though it's not perhaps a sort of spectacular mover. Here we've got the shares again bouncing off the floor of the rising trend channel, and breaking above the 20-day moving average and that late September resistance line at 4.86 pence. An end of day or end of week close above that should be enough to deliver a top of January trend channel target as high as 8 pence, hopefully by the end of the year. If you're cautious on the situation, you could just leave it up to an end of day close through the 50-day line at 5.19 pence before considering pressing the buy button. Good move today for ORSO mining after a few days of rather dull price action, let's say, bouncing off the 20-day moving average quite well. Looking for, I suppose, an end-of-day close or end-of-week close through 34 pence, which was resistance on the way down. If we can get that, then a retest of the best levels of the October towards the upper 40s could be on the cards. Still chasing a top of September price channel target as high as 60 pence, hopefully by the end of next month, or failing that by the end of the year. But at the moment, looks like we've bounced off the floor of the channel quite well there, and only back below 26 pence, really delaying the ongoing upside scenario. Big news on the contract front from Open Orphan today, the pharmaceuticals services, pharma services company. Here we've got a gap to the upside on the news, and in fact the shares were bouncing yesterday, which was interesting, off the floor of the rising trend channel from March. But a decent weekly close above the 20-day line today at 24.9 pence should set us up again for the long-awaited move towards 40 pence, which has been promised here for quite some time. We obviously hit 32 pence, which wasn't a bad stab at that upside, but 40 pence the end-of-year target for Open Orphan, especially while we hold above the 25 pence area. Rainbow Rare Earths is the next stock, and here nice move within this rising trend channel from February. Target there, 5 pence initial target there, Bigger target there for maybe the end of the year, the top of the January trend channel at 6.5p, and looks as though it should be relatively easy for the shares to achieve that. Syngenta is bouncing today as well. It's bounced off basically the floor of this rising trend channel from July, so call that the 157 level. While there's no end of day close back above that, back below that rather, we should at least retest recent £2.30 plus resistance. If you're cautious on the stock, which some might be after the recent volatility that we've had, it's been rather messy over August and September, then wait on an end of day close through the 50-day moving average at 183. But it looks as though that support line there from July is the easiest trading point there towards the 1.60 area on Syngenta. Rocky ride for Tower Resources over recent days, as we come to expect with many of the small caps, peaking at 0.65 and then coming back to the breakout zone. Basically, the view here now is that while we're above, same view as we had earlier in the week, while we're above the 50-day moving average and that broken January resistance line at 0.37, looking for a retest of 0.65 over the next few weeks. Best case scenario target at the moment up to the top of the January trend channel at 0.9 if we get some special news or special buying, I suppose. On to turn, where it looks as though, we dare to dream that the bears have finally been blown out of the water. It's taken a long consolidation, a long churn since June for the shares, but they've finally broken the falling wedge from the early part of the summer and the 50-day moving average at 6.85p. While we're above that, looking for top of triangle target, top of May triangle target is up to 16p, which is obviously retesting April resistance. Ideally now there's no break back below the 200-day moving average at 8p. That would really be the acid test in terms of determining that the stock is finally on its way after an extended base at and just below 6p. Just a couple of stocks to go now. First one is one which I haven't looked at that much of late, which is West Mount Energy. Get the words out. Here we've got a bounce off the floor of the rising trend channel, wide rising trend channel that I've drawn there from last year. The view here is that a decent end of week close or daily close above 20p. And October resistance should be enough to get the shares on the journey towards an upper 30s pence target, 38, 39p over the next 2 to 3 months. And the upside value while we hold above the 200-day moving average at 14.5p. Finishing off with Wishbone Gold, where we see that shares look as though they're at the bottom or near the bottom of the rising trend channel from August. Quite a steep feature there, and so while we're above 5.8, 5.9p on an end of day close basis, the top of the channel there at 10p could be seen hopefully as soon as the end of next month or going into December. That's it for me today. More updates next week.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.